MPI, its fundamentals, it's a relatively defensive company. However, I don't know if it would be favorable for you guys if you want to be an owner of a private company. And I've said this in several videos before, it would be hard for you to exit. It would be hard for you to get out of a company if it's no longer listed in the stock exchange. There's so much paperwork that has to be done. It's such a hassle. And the taxes also will be relatively different also. It will be relatively higher. Just a quick update to MPI shareholders. Please do note that the tender offer is now available via your online platform. If you own MPI shares and you want to accept the tender offer, now is the time to also execute and do so. Now, over the past few months, this is something that has been talked about a lot. MPI bringing the company public, and as you all know also, they had an initial tender offer which was relatively lower, below 5 pesos per share, and that had a lot of backlash. People were saying that how could a company that's undervalued do a tender offer that's way below its valuation? But there was an argument also that it's still at a premium versus the price that it has been trading over a stretched period of time. But because of the backlash as well, they took that backlash and they used it to analyze the situation, and then they gave a higher tender offer. So the tender offer now is at 5.2 pesos per share. This is the best that investors will ever receive. Even if you try to sell it in the market, it will never go higher than 5.2 pesos per share. By the time I'm recording this, I've been seeing the price of MPI hover about 4.98, 4.99, around 5 pesos per share. If you bought lower than that, you'd still have a profit if you are selling at 5 pesos, but you can also just accept the tender offer, wait and receive your money at 5.2 pesos per share. Please do note also that for this tender offer to be successful, it has to be 95% of MPI investors to subscribe to the tender offer. If they don't get the 95% to subscribe to the tender offer, then the shares may probably still remain public in the stock market. So it's ultimately at your decision, it's your discretion because it's your money. Do know this also that MPI, its fundamentals, it's a relatively defensive company. However, I don't know if it would be favorable for you guys if you want to be an owner of a private company. And I've said this in several videos before, it would be hard for you to exit. It would be hard for you to get out of a company if it's no longer listed in the stock exchange. There's so much paperwork that has to be done. It's such a hassle. And the taxes also will be relatively different also. It will be relatively higher. Unlike for the stock market, it's not just fast, but the taxes, in my opinion, are very efficient, and then you can use the money to buy whatever stock that you want. Especially if you are selling it at a profit, you have the ability to be able to earn off of it as well. How do you do it? Just log into your broker. There should be a notification that will lead to the tender offer page, and you just have to accept it. And you just have to click on it. You just have to agree and accept the tender offer that's been given to you. It's as straightforward as that, and the money will be credited to your account after X amount of time. So I'll keep you updated when that would happen. Now, that being said also, should the tender offer be successful, this would end the tenure of MPI in the stock market. And if you might have bought it in the past at a higher price, that shows also what the risks are in the stock market, that even a fundamentally sound company, something that's also defensive, could be delisted. It could be delisted also at a lower price than what you have purchased. So that goes to show how diversification is important. That goes to show also about how you should manage your expectations, that you always think not just about the upside, but you always think also what the downside is, or what's the worst that could possibly happen. People would always say that it's relatively safe because it's Philippine stocks and it's more heavily regulated. But if you can see it also, there are a lot of Philippine stocks that over a stretched period of time have not really performed well. If you look at SSI, it's lower than its IPO price. If you look at MRSGI, it's lower than its IPO price. If you look at VLL a few years back, it had a price to book. It had a very, very impressive PE ratio and price to book, but right now it has been massively battered as well. Then you also have companies that were giving out dividends, and their dividends also faltered. Even preferred shares like the Phoenix preferred share, its stock price is massively down because they stopped giving out dividends for X amount of time. And of course, if you are into preferred shares, that would affect the reason on why you bought that stock. If you're not getting the dividends anymore, then why hold on to it? You have SPC. 2-3 years ago, they have been giving out dividends that were relatively higher, but they dropped the dividends that they have been giving out, and that's why also the stock is down. So you have all of these scenarios, and then you have REITs as well. The MPR is massively down. The dividends that they're giving out is not as impressive as compared to its other REITs that are listed in the Philippines, from A REIT or even C REIT. What's interesting about that also is that C REIT, A REIT, and you can put in also RCR into the mix, their dividends are increasing. Another one that got heavily affected is PhilREIT. Their dividends right now are way too low, and it's not giving you the yields that you would want, especially if you're in it for REITs and you're in it for dividends and you're in it also for passive income. So what's interesting about this is you look at the stock market as a way for you to build an asset, have the chance to also earn off of it. But it's also a learning experience on how you could get better as an investor over the long term. And events like this will help you 10, 20, 30 years in your career as an investor. This will be part of you already when you decide on how you would continually buy your investments. Regardless if you're making money off of this or you're not making money off of this, or if you're breaking even, I do believe that what you get from this, from a learning perspective, is massively bigger. And it's, I believe, something that's significant for the long term, because if you're watching this and you're like me in their 30s, if you're investing for 30, 40, 50 years more, then you have the ability to be able to somehow leverage this and use this to your advantage to continually make more from your investments, knowing that when you start investing, there will always be risks attached to it. And given that also that right now the Philippine market has been relatively sideways, it really hasn't gone anywhere, it really hasn't moved. There are other markets that have performed better. The US tech market has done better. Even traditional brands in the States have moved better. That's something people need to recognize if you're investing, that it has to be strategic in a way that if there's a market that's not doing well for you, if there's a stock that's not doing well for you, you have to make adjustments on the way you would buy and sell for that particular stock, on the way you would transact. MPI, please make sure, if you're fully decided that you want to agree to the 5.2 peso term, now's the time to do it. I do believe you have until up to the end of August. Please check your broker for it as well. If you don't want to accept the tender offer also, you have the ability to be able to do that as well. But then again, if 95% of investors choose to accept the tender offer, the company will be delisted. So please do note that's something that you should take in mind when you're trying to analyze what you're supposed to do. And also, if you see something that's worth buying right now that may give you a better upside than waiting for the proceeds of the tender offer, then maybe it's not wrong also to sell at 5 pesos. The upside 5 to 5.2 is not as big anymore. Whereas if you have the ability to be able to transfer it to another stock, that will give you a higher degree of upside. So that's it. Just updating you guys on what's happening with MPI, the tender offer, as what I've promised in the videos before. So if you stayed up until this point, like, share, subscribe. And if you want to know more about the basics of the market, there's 3 ways. Number 1 is I have 2 webinars down below. One is to teach you about how to pick good stocks and avoid bad ones. The second one is about technical analysis, teaching you how to find the best time to buy and sell your stocks. The second one is I have a book series. They're available in the link below via Shopee, which is 5 books about the basics of the stock market, how to pick stocks, and also how to time stocks. And then I also have portfolio management in the series as well. And lastly, we have thousands of videos in this channel, all here to serve you and give you value. So that's it for now. Marvin Germo. I hope this video helps you trade well, trade strong, trade smart. See you all again soon. God bless you all.